Tonight, the race against time to shore up Riverland levees. Also, a World Cup final for the ages. Penny Wong's crucial visit to Beijing. And the torturous wait is over for Year 12 students. Good evening, Jessica Harmson with ABC News. The River Murray flood peak has now passed Wentworth and is expected to hit Renmark around Boxing Day. Work's underway to shore up the town's main levees where water's been seeping through. They're among dozens of crucial flood barriers needing urgent repair work as flows reach significant levels.
Among the last lines of defence between many river communities and the rising floods, these Renmark levees are under repair. Some water has been seeping through, but the SES says the weak points have been identified and will be fixed. But not everywhere has been so lucky. Older levees like the one at Pondy haven't survived.
We've got about 8 levees that have had catastrophic failures, so they've been breached in their entirety, can't be repaired. We've got around 53 levees where there are serious defects that we're getting engineers to have a look at, and we're actively working on a number of very large structures, including at Cobb Dogler.
Renmark will be the first major South Australian community to be hit with the flood peak, with news it's passed through the lower reaches in New South Wales and Victoria.
So we do anticipate it will be coming into Renmark now. We can say confidently it'll be around Boxing Day.
South Australia is getting some help from interstate. A second Swiftwater rescue crew has arrived from Queensland with a wealth of experience in dealing with floods.
Yeah, we've all just gone through the floods that we had in southeast Queensland in February, March last year.
While they've mostly been checking levees and knocking on doors, crews got a trial run in Renmark this afternoon. They were sent out to find a missing kayaker in what turned out to be a false alarm. While the focus of the floods is on the impact on homes, businesses and livelihoods, there is some good news. The Murray Mouth has long needed a dredge to keep it open, but no more. It's flowing freely, and while the water's not exactly clear, it's already bringing new life.
We've already started to see emergence of the southern bellflog, which is endangered, coming to fruition.
A silver lining in a slow-moving disaster. Leah McLennan, ABC News.
Floodwaters have brought significant change to South Australia's natural environment, both good and bad. While waterways along the River Murray are filled to the brim, the decision to prevent flooding in one major body of water has had unintended consequences.
In the Riverland town of Barmera, locals are smelling something wrong with their biggest attraction.
Green and stinks.
In a time of flood, Lake Bonny is starting to look sick. SA Health diagnosing blue-green algae. Earlier this month, Berry Barmera Council cut the lake off from the river to prevent any flooding in town.
I just think it's wrong because it's going to make it black water. It's happened before and it's taken a long time to get it back to normal.
It's got to be done, so it's got to get worse. If it hadn't been done, I think the whole place would have flooded right out.
People are being told not to swim in discoloured parts of the lake, with testing now underway.
Department of Environment and Water is working very closely with the Council and Environmental Management Plan. We've got strategies in place to open up that temporary levee as soon as we practically can after the peak flow goes through.
This isn't the only lake along the River Murray that's in need of some clarity. A massive body of water further upstream could be playing a crucial role in SA's flood emergency. Lake Victoria in southwest New South Wales has been used in drier years to ensure SA receives its full share of water. But authorities haven't figured out how to divert large amounts of floodwater out of the river, slightly reducing flows into South Australia.
The idea of taking some of the excessive flow and putting it into Lake Victoria wasn't able to be addressed over the border.
SA Water says a levee reported to be failing here was actually a privately owned road fording a creek. Ethan Ricks, ABC News, the Riverland.
Argentina is celebrating its third World Cup triumph after beating France in one of the most captivating finals in the history of the tournament. It was 3-3 after extra time before Lionel Messi's team won in a penalty shootout. World Cup reporter Tracy Holmes has more from Doha. Here in Australia, the party continued well into the morning for Argentinian fans. Thousands crowded into venues across the country to watch the match. The big win was celebrated with spur-of-the-moment street parties.
In the final moments of a nail-biting penalty shootout, a collective holding of breath at packed-out pubs across the country. And then, Argentina's World Cup winning goal. In amongst the hubbub, hugs, tears of joy and phone calls home. Celebrations continued well into the morning.
Everybody wanted to see Messi raising the cup, and we did it.
I was crying. Yeah, no. I thought we weren't going to make it, but yeah, we did.
I really don't have words to describe what I'm feeling.
Argentinians gathered on the steps of the Opera House to bask in the glory together.
Many people came from Queensland, from Northern Territory. They came here just for today to celebrate here.
So happy for all the people that they are in Argentina, because that will put a smile in everyone's face.
These Argentinian fans have been up all night, but sleep is the last thing on their minds. It's their country's first World Cup win since 1986. The best Christmas present any of them could have asked for.
A long-awaited victory that deserves to be savoured. Ruby Cornish, ABC News, Sydney.
Let's go back to Tracy Holmes in Doha after a big night of celebrations. Tracy, Qatar started off as a controversial event. What do you think the legacy will be?
I think the legacy is going to be threefold, Jess. The first one, of course, the significant changes to labour laws and workers' rights here, which was a focus in the lead-up. They are recognised as region's best now, and international agencies have lauded those. The government here has committed to continuing to develop those and to continue to enforce them beyond the World Cup. Secondly, I think for one of the world's smallest countries to host its biggest event and to do so successfully, they've shown what can be done with that sort of commitment. And thirdly, I think for the World Cup itself, they've brought it to a whole new region, the heart of the Islamic world here in the Middle East. They've shown that a World Cup can be staged relatively alcohol-free. It can be a family event, and the face of the fans that we've seen here has been so incredibly different to many of the World Cups we've seen previously. And they certainly helped bring about an atmosphere that people will remember for years to come.
Tracy, thank you. Tracy Holmes reporting there. While the football world is basking in the glow of a thrilling World Cup, the sport in Australia is still reeling from an ugly weekend in the A-League. 3 men have now been charged by police in the wake of Saturday night's violent pitch invasion in Melbourne. And the Melbourne Victory is also facing possible punishment over the actions of rogue fans.
Bandaged and bruised.
Obviously, it's disappointing for football.
Tom Glover lamented a night Australian football wants to forget.
I think it's, the incident, but it's more for the Australian football itself. You know, the Socceroos are unbelievable and, hopefully riding the wave of that, but small minority which kind of ruins it.
The City goalkeeper suffered lacerations to his head when he was struck by a metal bucket filled with sand, which also hit referee Alex King. The violence erupted after Glover threw a flare back into the stands. The man accused of throwing the bucket, a 23-year-old from Craigieburn, has been charged with violent disorder and unlawful assault. 2 other men have also been charged with a string of offences.
The police investigation is doing their thing. For me, it's just getting back on the pitch.
Police are warning more arrests could be made as they track down more fans.
It was just totally appalling. They've brought the game into disrepute, and there has to be an accounting for what they've done.
It's just shameful. It's absolutely shameful, and there's no place for that in sport.
Football Australia has given Victory until Wednesday to explain why the club shouldn't face sanctions. They could include fines, the loss of points, and even locking fans out of matches for the rest of the season. But the sport's governing body denies there's a cultural problem.
I've never packed a balaclava to go to a football game, and I think that demonstrates to me that there were people in that stadium that were there to cause havoc.
Victory says it's still working out whether some fans at the match had already been issued with lifetime bans. Tom Maddox, ABC News, Melbourne.
The Adelaide Youth Court has granted bail to a 17-year-old boy charged over an alleged gang rape after a new video emerged that raised questions about the lack of consent. The boy is one of 7 males charged with the alleged rape of 2 women aged 18 and 19 in a city car park earlier this month. His lawyer told the court the video contradicted the allegations and could provide at least a partial defence to the charges. But the prosecutor said the allegations remained serious and the video had not been provided to her office. The state government says South Australia's electricity needs have been met by renewable energy for a whole week. It opened a new solar farm and battery storage site near Murray Bridge, which will power more than 1,000 homes. The private operator has also built similar facilities at Port Wakefield and Padthaway. Premier Peter Malinauskas says the energy milestone is the first...